double wedding. That was my sister Dorothy, Uncle Nick. We had a double wedding at Luxton Hall in 1948. Not Luxton Hall. It was Colwood Hall. 1948, double wedding.
Why a double wedding? It's not something everybody does.
Well, because what we'd done, one time we went out to a restaurant that Andy Val's mom and dad owned at the time, out at Colwood Corner. And we were sitting, and we'd been to a dance or something, and we stopped in to have some coffee and something else. So while we're sitting there, they got on the subject about getting married. So Dot and Nick were saying that they were, well, we said, Peggy and I had said that we were planning on getting married. So we said, Dot and Nick said, well, we were thinking about getting married too. So they said, well, why don't we make it a double wedding? So we decided right there that night, and we made it a double wedding.
Yeah.
And that's why. And then the funny thing about the wedding too, because it was a big hall, Colwood Hall, and the place was packed, being a double wedding. But we had people come in from outside that crashed the wedding, and the place was jammed. And they were people we didn't even know that came to the wedding, because they just happened to see the door was open, the wedding going on, and they would come inside. So
where'd you go for your honeymoon?
We went to honeymoon. We went up Island. To start off going up Island, and there's up the top of the Malahat, where the totem pole is up there, the motel, but they had individual cabins, and we stayed in that overnight. Then the next day, we caught the boat for Nanaimo, across to Vancouver, and drove down as far as Chilliwack and Hope and places like that. Hotel was a funny thing. We went to New Westminster. We stayed at a brand new hotel in New Westminster. And a funny thing happened. I had my car parked. When it was parked at the curve, they were parked parallel with the curve at nighttime. When I went in at night, parked the car parallel along the curve like this here. And the next day, when we come out, all the cars were angle parked. So I had my car against the curve, parallel parked, and all the other cars were angle parked, and I couldn't get out. I was wedged in there, because the others were all parked angle. I was parked angle, they were parked just angle parked. We were parked parallel. So evidently the police had been there to find out who was the car that had been angle parked, and they told me it was just a young couple who just got married, so the police didn't do anything about it. They let it go. Kelly Road, we lived on Kelly Road.
Oh yeah.
And they used to take all the right at the front of the house was a great big pile of dirt, and they moved it all by hand with a wheelbarrow, and cut the trees down in there and everything else.
What is that? Does that sound like you or what?
Yeah, really.
Moved everything by hand with a wheelbarrow. Yeah, I mean, why not? Yeah. Why do they have heavy equipment anyway? I wonder, huh?
Didn't have it then.
Well, yes, they did.
When we bought the house on Kelly Road, it wasn't finished. So what they had an outhouse at the back. So I put the water line in so we could put the toilet inside.
What was Kelly Road like when you bought it?
Kelly Road, when we got Kelly Road, was just all they had was the basement for the foundation, and they lived in the basement. And so when we bought it, we finished building the rest of the house. All they had tarp paper over the top, which would be the subfloor, and then we finished building the whole thing and put the roof on it. But the people were living in the basement. We lived in the basement for a while too.
How's it going there?
Good.
Fine.
Elderberry wine coming up, huh?
Sauce anyway. a barn? What about the cow on Kelly Road?
Oh, the cow. Yeah, we had a little farm there, Kelly Road.
Yeah.
We had a little miniature farm. Had half an acre. We had 1 acre altogether. The house was on half an acre, and the rest of it was a little miniature farm. And we had a horse there. We had pigs and chickens, rabbits and pheasants on this little farm. And we never bought any milk for 4 years. Never bought any beef because we supplied it this little farm, miniature farm we had.
Who milked the cow?
I milked the cow. And I was good at milking the cows because I could milk the cow. I used to go to work in the morning, and I could milk the cow in 13 minutes. I had it down to 13 minutes milking it. 13 minutes, I milked the cow in 13 minutes.
Oh.
What was the cow's name? Bunny or something?
Bunny. Cow's name was
Do
Bunny.
you remember we used to ride the cow because we didn't have a horse?
Oh, we used to
And
ride
the cow didn't want anything on its back, and one day it ran into the barn. And remember, his back used to clear the back of the door.
Yeah.
And Brad was on his back, and the thing went running in.
Ran into the barn. Yeah, he knocked him off. Knocked him off.
Yeah. What we?
Oh, when we went and got Bunny, that's where we started our little farm. Bunny was how we started our little farm. I went to Duncan, and there was an auction sale. Never been to an auction sale before, and they were selling these livestock. And Bunny was 4 days old, little calf. So we bought her. I remember paid $7 for her, and we brought her home in a gunny sack.
The grass goes a long way, doesn't it? Okay. Some more? Some more?
Hey, just like a pro. Man. Okay, what else?
Done that for a while now, okay?
Yeah. Take your foot out for a second. Actually, I'll just get you to put your leg right up. It's those tight jeans that get you. There you go.
She's ready to lose some weight.
No. Yeah, I'll just get you to take your foot out.
Like that.
You did something else funny in Vancouver too, didn't you? Years later, at the telephone.
Oh,
I want this one.
That's a different story there. No, I shouldn't tell you this story, but you know that.
Oh, come on.
No, I went to Vancouver.
Kids
I had never been away from home when we were married, and I'd never been away from home. And I had to use a pay telephone. I had to use a pay telephone. Anyways, I was on the corner. I was on Georgia Street, Vancouver, and I was using a pay phone to phone home from Mom. And the operator said, "Where are you phoning from?" So I put the phone down and I ran down the block, and I ran around down the block to see what the name of the streets were. And I came running back and I heard this voice, "Hello, hello, hello, where are you? Hello, hello." And she says, "Where'd you go?" I said, "Went to see the name of the street." She says, "No," she says, "I want the number on the phone." I went to find out what the name of the street was, where I'm phoning from. When I was, before I got married, I used to go out to, had an old 1929 Chrysler of my dad's, and I used to be driving at the time. I had my license driving it. I used to go to Souk. And I was with somebody else, another chum of mine, and so what I used to do, I said, let's see how far we can, put the headlights out and see how far we can go in the dark. Just see how far we can go in the dark. So I put the headlights out, and we drive along. Then we thought we were getting close to the edge of the road, I'll pull the headlights on. Just to see, daring, to see how far I could go with the headlights out. Pitch black. So anyways, that's fine. We'd come home at night, and I was married after that. Then this happened before I was married, doing these things. When I got married, I had dreams of doing this with a car, driving and putting the headlights out and see how far I go. And I would wake up in the middle of the night, couldn't find the steering wheel, couldn't find the gear shift, couldn't find anything, standing in the bed. Mom would say, "What's the matter, what's the matter?" I'd say, "Oh, I can't find the gear shift, I can't find this, I can't find that." I said, "Oh, to hell with it, let it crash." Well, when Gary, I had a 1946 Chev Club Coupe when Gary was a baby, and we went on a holiday down to the States, and it was a Club Coupe, so there was no back seat in it, no seat in the back. You could take the back out between the trunk, and we used to sleep in the back, and Gary slept on the front seat. So we used to put boxes down so he wouldn't fall off the seat, and anyways, I used to have I'd have these nightmares driving all down to the States down in the traffic and everything else. And I think I pushed him off the seat down by the clutch pedal, the brake pedal. He was about 11 months old.
That explains a lot.
We used to go camping at Myrtle Beach. Load up the car, get everything on it, away we went.
Uh-huh.
Got to Myrtle Beach, went to put up the tent, no tent poles. We forgot them. The only thing we forgot was the tent poles. Anyways, on looking around at the campsite and checking all around, we managed to come across a tent that had burnt down, and the poles, the ones that we needed, just like the tent we had, were there. So we hit it lucky. Golfing, we used to golf on the beach. You still doing it now?
Don't worry about it. Just
Yeah.
go ahead and get
Used
into
to
the
go-
flow.
We used
Then
to
we'll do
golf
it.
on the golfing. Grandpa Jacob used to come up there and we used to play, go along the beach and take turns golfing, driving the ball on the beach. Went swimming, did sand castles, float around the water,
Any of the
try to
cousins?
duck each other in the water and everything.
Any of the cousins and relatives?
Oh
come?
yeah, I used to go camping with Eric and brother Eric and the kids and everything. Used to go camping and used to make. I built like a little kayak to go up there so we'd go in the water with him and used to play that. Built a home with a paddle in each one paddle, kayak, and made sand castles and dug oysters and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Did it rain all the time?
Did it rain all the time? She said.
It rained once. It rained so hot. Went up with Grandpa Whiteley up there, and it rained so heavy. We went up on a Sunday afternoon, put the tent up, and it rained right through till Thursday. So he said, "This is enough for me. I've had enough of this stuff." So we put the tents, swept the cars, and we headed home. Never stopped till we got back to Victoria. We were drowned.
Ooh.
I remember one time we were up there fishing. Gary and Brad and I, we went fishing in this little boat, and we went out with a rowboat, and we were out quite a ways from shore, and it was the current was so strong that we didn't get back again until 11 o'clock at night. You remember that, do you?
It's not on, Dad. Just go ahead.
Well, anyway,
Yeah.
we went out this little rowboat, and we were rowing, and went out in the rowboat. We got quite a ways out, and then we got back. We couldn't get the thing. We had to come right to the shore to get right along the edge of the shore before we could get anywhere. Because we were rowing and rowing and rowing, and we weren't going anywhere. And when we got back to the campsite, Granny was worried about us, Mum was worried about us, because we were back at 11 o'clock at night and it was pitch black. Do you remember that?
No, yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Ooh.
We just
Yeah, because we were going against the riptide that was coming.
going against the riptide, and we were rowing and rowing and rowing, and didn't get anywhere. We finally had to come right along the beach, like this.
Gee.
We could have walked along the beach and carried the boat.
Don't worry about it. You're trying
Oh,
too
that's
hard.
good. No.
Yeah,
You're not going to get an Oscar yet if you keep
some
up
things
like
I
this.
can't remember anymore. It's a long time ago.
Well, I'm glad we're doing this now.